This video is reasons why I don't like Corey Feldman. And I'm going to be reading something from choreography I took screenshots of. I didn't buy the book. I rented it from the library. I'm not paying Corey Feldman anything. And I'm not going to give him any money or in any of his movies unless Haim's in them too. Basically, Corey Feldman's a talented actor. It's really overrated. He always plays like the douchey, annoying kind of guy. For example, like in The Goonies, Stand By Me. Most of his movies with Corey Haim. Corey Feldman, anyway. He has 2 divorces, and, like, people always say, like, infidelity and, like, stuff like that. And, he has Corey's Angels, which is basically parties. He calls them love parties. And he has, like, 4 main hot blonde chicks that he considers hot. And he pays them to, be on his album, sing backup. Yeah, he's also a singer. He's in this band called Truth Movement. He can't sing or rap or shit. But, it has this solo albums, too. Now it's with Corey's Angels. And they put on these big, expensive shows. And they, dance for him and stuff and sing. And he has parties where, he acts like he's Hugh Hefner. But he's not, because Hugh respects women and Corey Feldman doesn't. When he invites girls and he thinks they're hot. If he doesn't think you're hot, you have to pay to get into the party. And he charges $100 for guys to come into the party and hang out at his, Playboy, mansion with these hot chicks. Okay, so Corey Feldman is a liar and a manipulator. And one thing I won't blame him for is that he was molested by multiple guys, friends of his family, friend of his dad. But, there's still no excuse for him to do the stuff he does or be an asshole. And he only has to pay $750 a month for child support for his kid and his second wife he had the kid with, his second ex-wife, Susie. She only got him from court to pay $750 a month, and he has joint custody of his child that rape. I don't remember his kid's name, but whatever. And yeah, he's about to be on Wife Swap, and I really hope the other mom yells at him because he's just an idiot. Okay, so Corey Feldman goes on in interviews saying he's friends with Michael Jackson, all this great stuff about him. But in his book, he says that MJ showed him and other children pictures of naked people, nude kids or whatever, or he found magazines or something like that, and he was saying that Michael Jackson wasn't a good person for that when he found these magazines he wasn't even supposed to find. And yeah, so the way he's talking about Michael Jackson, he contradicts himself about that. In his book, he doesn't say much good about Michael Jackson, but on interviews he pretends he was best friends with him or something, and it's a bunch of shit. And also, he wasn't invited to Corey Haim's funeral, and his mom, Judy Haim, Corey Haim's mom, Corey Feldman was at her at the grave, and she was there too, visiting it in Canada where he was buried. And Corey Feldman basically told Corey Haim's mom to lay down on the grave, and that till she was really depressed, and he was gonna take pictures. And what kind of dude would do shit like that, And he knows who molested Corey Haim, but he won't admit it. And because he says he's basically broke anyway, and he said that he can't reveal it. He has a family and stuff. But he's always hooking up with these chicks and exploiting women and being misogynist. And he just and here's this video I'm gonna include a link to. Corey Haim was new, and he yelled at this a deleted scene from The Two Corys, a show where Susie Haim, when she was actually still married to Corey Feldman, they were had Corey Haim stay in their house, and they had that reality show, and Corey Haim's always being messy, but he's they overreact and always treat him like shit on the show, Susie and Corey Feldman. And Corey Feldman basically fights him, physically fights him, you see, but there's this deleted scene. He verbally fights Corey Haim. They're at this diner together. Corey Haim says, hey, I helped you, I talked you through it when you told me you were molested by, and when it happened, and, I was there for you. But then at the time, he's saying, but you, Corey Haim said to Corey Feldman, dude, you're still friends with the guy who molested me, and you know who it is, and you won't tell anyone, and you're still friends with him. What kind of guy would be friends with his so-called best friend's molester? Okay, he's gonna be friends with him. That is just so messed up, And he has just so many blind followers and thousands and millions of followers on Twitter. I think he's so great. And he hasn't done movies in years, thank God, because he's just so annoying. Oh, and he also got River Phoenix started on drugs, and he also said that he's the one who could have stopped River Phoenix like he so had thought he could help him before he died from overdosing on drugs and keeping him clean. Okay, but and he'd always make fun of Corey Haim's weight and his drug habits, even though he had problems with weight and drugs too, and he's just like a hypocrite. And like in his book Choreography, I'm gonna read part from it right now. But anyways, Corey Haim's family wants nothing to do with Corey Feldman's family, and I have a friend, my best friend in Scotland. She's friends with Corey Haim's family, and yeah, they don't want anything to do with Corey Feldman. And his mom has come forward and said his book is full of lies, and I'm gonna read from it right now. This part is the chapter about Corey Haim. He like skips around a lot, and I don't remember which one it was, but it was like in the middle of the book. And this is when he and Corey Haim were hanging out, partying like usual back in the 80s. And there was this guy named Marty that they were partying with, like, they had a small party. Feldman and Corey, the two Coreys and this guy named Marty. This Marty guy was basically being a creep, and then Haim wanted Feldman and himself to beat Marty up. They planned to find a nearby park and jump him. Sounds more sinister than it was. In Corey Feldman's words, I don't believe either of us hit him. We dragged him to the ground and swatted at him. Haim, it was a way of communicating just how much Marty had affected him. Several months later, around the time we signed our 3-picture deal, we moved to Encino, and Tony, his friend, became his roommate. Haim took it as betrayal. So I'm thinking this guy with the first name Tony is the one who molested Haim. Looking back on it, who can blame him? Whether it's denial or fucked up way your brain works when you've been a victim, I just don't think of Tony as bad. I still thought, ridiculously, erroneously, Haim wanted it. The abuse had not been Tony's fault. He believes that Haim deserved this abuse and that he's bisexual or gay and that this is what gay guys do. While Haim tolerated the arrangement and the two remained civil, Tony scored a small role in one of his upcoming movies, clear to me that Haim could no longer stand him. Despite the awkwardness, the first of the 3 new films Haim and I would make together seemed promising, such as Blown Away, with Nicole Eggert, ex-fiancée of Corey Haim. And yeah, he just goes on to talk about that, National Lampoon's Last Resort, which was a shitty movie that both of them are in. Let's see what else. Next page. Now Corey Haim is telling wanted Feldman to go pick up prescription drugs for him. He wanted charcoal tablets from the pharmacy. Feldman was instructed to go to this. Corey Haim didn't instruct him, but he was instructed by this doctor that when you see him overdosing, which will happen on these drugs on a daily basis, you're going to take a handful of pills and shove them down his throat. If he's foaming at the mouth, or his eyes roll back in his head, or inebriated, he can't put a sentence together. If he's not making any sense, you'll know what to do. What if he's choking? If it's so bad he can't swallow, you'll have to call the paramedics. But you can get to him before things get that bad. Corey Haim said that this was his condition right now. Haim's behavior after I bought the charcoal for him over the next few days scared me half to death. In the morning he'd be slow but lucid. An hour or two later he'd start with a slurring. An hour or two after that he'd be drooling, completely incomprehensible. His eyes would roll back in his head. It happened every day without exception. At one point it occurred to me he just didn't understand what he was putting people through. I decided to film him at various points throughout a typical day to show him. I wanted to put the evidence in front of his face. It's devastating, the footage. By 5 he would tell me where he was when it named the President of the United States. He was a drooling slob of a human, and I was afraid he had done permanent damage. So he's making fun of him having to take these prescription drugs that probably led to him having a reduced heart, along with, he had pneumonia while he died, right? So if you think it's drugs, it's not. It's been proven time and time again by the autopsy and doctors that it wasn't drugs. So people need to stop saying it was drugs because he didn't die from drugs. Okay. And there's one more page where he talks, the last part he talks about Corey Haim. When Haim admitted to being molested, it was a step, the very smallest of steps, toward admitting the root cause of his inner demons. I wanted him to come forward about the big one, the awkward moment in the diner in Studio City. He was still nowhere near ready to reveal. I wanted him to say the name of the guy who stole his innocence on the set of Lucas, someone that worked on the set of his first big movie. The man who walks around now, one of the most successful people in the entertainment industry, still making money hand over fist. Even after the two Coreys went off the air, after the blow up and the reconciliation, Haim was under impression for a while that we are going to move forward with a third season. I had to explain there would be no more seasons. He had burned all his bridges. I told him his self-destructive behavior stemmed from what happened to him as a boy. The only way he'd free himself when he came forward with that information. If he could, a weight would be lifted from his shoulders. I told him he wouldn't find peace. Until then, why don't you do that? Why don't you tell my story? I got my own story to tell, I said, and you've got yours. You're going to write your own story. You're going to write your own book. At the time of his death, Haim still wasn't ready. I had no intention of making it to Corey's story. I had no intention of discussing Corey's experiences with abuse. But in the wake of his death, I felt like I had to do the one thing he was never able to do. And there you have it. And that's what he said basically about Corey Haim. And I haven't seen the two Corey season 2 yet, but I watched him make a video about it. And so if you're wondering about Corey Feldman and why I don't like him, that's why. And he even reveals in his own book. And like, even if it's true, even if Corey Haim maybe was, which he wasn't, bisexual, it doesn't matter. It's not a big deal. And Corey Feldman needs to stop being a homophobic idiot about it. Because it really doesn't matter if his friend was. He's just doing it, putting up a rep because he doesn't want people to think that, like, he wants to be actual tough. And he doesn't want people to think that him and Haim had a relationship or anything. Because that Haim might be gay or whatever. Because he's indulging those rumors that he might be gay. And making up these lies about him. And it even says in his own book, you know, when there's also part of Michael Jackson saying that he did some things that he didn't like. And made a big deal out of nothing. And he also spread lies, and Haim's whole family basically hates Feldman. So, yeah, you should watch the two Coreys. You'll see how Feldman overreacts and how him and his wife at the time treat Corey Haim. And there's a lot of things about Corey Feldman life. Just look up Corey Feldman divorce, Corey Feldman, Corey's Angels, and Corey Feldman and Corey Haim. Choreography. You'll find a lot of stuff, and I just recommend that you stop buying all his movies, giving him money and support, because Feldman isn't a good guy.